everybody, it's Kyle coming to you for a quick special report. Wasn't planning on recording one of these, but some things have changed, and you'll have to unfortunately deal a little bit with the sound quality here too, and I apologize for that. Kind of spur of the moment thing. Basically, we had a great Christmas. We just had a good Christmas and everything went well. My daughter did real well, got her license. She's doing great, driving around and everything. Had a great birthday party with all her friends and stuff. It's been really good, but there has been kind of a downside to things too. My mom came to visit us on Christmas Eve. Now, she had come to Thanksgiving. I'm from a town that's probably about an hour away from here. Small town in Kansas. And so about a month ago, she had come to our house for Thanksgiving, and everything was fine. She didn't want to stay overnight or anything because she wanted to get back. She didn't want to put her dog in doggy daycare or whatever for a day, which is fine. But, no problems. So then, flash forward to Christmas Eve, and she was going to come and stay that night and then maybe stay an extra night on Christmas night. And she was on her way, and I was working on some stuff, getting some stuff ready, and she called, and she was lost. So I kind of figured out by talking to her where she was. She told me the crossroads and everything where she was, and I just was kind of surprised that's where she was. She wasn't in the best part of town. It was a little bit scary. So I gave her exact directions on how to get back on the highway and get to our house. And then she called me about 40 minutes later or so, which I thought was kind of a long time, but whatever. And she was lost again. And it appeared as though she didn't follow the directions hardly at all that I'd given her. And it was a pretty strange scenario. So I hopped in the car and I told her to sit right where she was. I hopped in the car, drove to where she was, and had her follow me back to our house and everything. And we did notice a few issues, with her when she was there, but it seemed as though she was doing a little better by the time she left than when she got there. So I don't know if we weren't sure exactly what was going on, but I still kind of pushed a little bit and said, hey, why don't you let me drive your car and you ride with me, and I'll take you home, and then my wife will follow, and then, because we had something we had to go do. My wife's mother, unfortunately, is in recently gotten into long-term care, and it's kind of a whole debacle there too as well. And so we, God, man, people suck at driving, man. I'll tell you what. So anyway, we did that, and we were on the way back to my hometown and everything. And as we got a little bit closer, she insisted that I drop her at this Applebee's that's in my small town. And I said, well, Mom, I don't even think they're open, And she's like, I know, but I want to try and drive from there. I'm feeling better and everything. And I said, well, she asked so many times and really pushed, and I said, okay, that's fine. And so we agreed that's what we'd do. And she drove off fine and everything, and she, texted me a little bit later when we were on our way back towards the Kansas City area and said she was fine and made it home and everything, and so everything seemed fine. And then about 45 minutes later or so, I got a phone call from my aunt who lives in Arizona and said, hey, your mom called me, and I couldn't really understand her. She was having trouble breathing. And so I called 911 for her. And I was like, what? I just saw her, And anyway, I was trying to call Mom's phone, and she wasn't answering. And then all of a sudden, I got a call from my mom's phone. And it was an EMT that was there at the house with my mom. And told me that she had fallen, but she was kind of having some trouble breathing. Her heart rate was a little odd, and her blood pressure was really low. And so they were going to go ahead and take her in to the ER and everything. And I said, okay, good. And they asked me, well, how long's it been since you've been to your mom's house? And I had to stop and think, oh, wait, I guess I haven't been there in a while. I mean, the last 3 or 4 years I lived in that town, in high school and maybe part-time through the summers, I lived in that house. God, dude, motorcyclists too, dude. I know you guys heard that. They just drive through the middle of cars too, and then don't get me wrong, man, I don't want anybody to get hit by a car, but it's like, maybe don't drive, and now he's doing wheelies, this dude's doing wheelies. Maybe don't drive through the middle of fucking cars if you don't want to get hit, There's a thought. Maybe save the wheelies for not on the road with a bunch of people trying to drive somewhere. That's just my thought. Okay, let me get back to the story. I said, boy, I don't know. But now that I really stop and think about it, I know it's been over 5 years. And she said, well, there's a police officer here with me too, and he'd like to ask you some questions. I'm like, holy shit, So the officer got on the phone with me and asked me the same thing. And I said, I know it's been 5 years, but I mean, she always wants to go meet somewhere, or she always comes to our house. But I never really put any of that together. Is everything okay? And he goes, no, everything is not okay. And so he proceeded to tell me about the house and the condition the house was in. And it's pretty dire. It's pretty bad. He said there was pretty big infestation of mice. They were all over the place. And it was in really bad shape. And I said, what? I mean, I had no idea. And I've talked to my uncle and my aunt, and neither one of them really had an idea of that either. Now, I knew that she had a problem with mice at one point, but I knew that she called an exterminator and got rid of them. And I offered to help pay for that, or come up there and try and help, or whatever. And she said, no, I got it. And she took care of it. Well, she didn't take care of it. And long story short, I went by the hospital where she was and talked to the doctor in the ER. And in addition to the living in this environment that obviously was toxic, they found a large mass in her lower colon that they're pretty sure is cancerous. So I said, okay, so you guys are then, you're going to test it. And he said, no, we can't do that here. And I said, okay, well then we need to get her in an ambulance and get her to a hospital, maybe up in the city, that can do that. And that's a whole other story, folks. It's basically 48 to 72 hours of me fighting with them until they finally did transfer her, and she's getting surgery now tomorrow morning. They're going to go ahead and pull this mass out and get rid of it. They have done a biopsy. They're not 100% sure if it's, it takes 3 or 4 days for them to do the testing to figure that out. But they've decided to go ahead and remove it anyway. Because either way, it needs to come out, So, yeah, that's where I'm at. The side story of this whole thing is that house. when I found out this had happened and everything, and I rushed up there to town, back to town, I went into that house alone, and it was kind of getting dark out. I was pretty nervous, but I went in to try and find some papers and stuff, and dude, it was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't believe anybody had been living in that situation, much less my mother. And I talked to her about it when I got back. I wasn't mean or accusatory or anything like that. I just was like, Mom, why wouldn't you tell me this is going on? I mean, I would definitely come and help you figure this out and fix this. And she just... But it appears as though they're going to condemn the house completely, which they should. I mean, it's in bad shape, really bad shape. The good news is my mom worked for the federal government for 40 plus years. So her retirement, actually she makes more money right now per month or per year than she did when she was working. She retired about a decade ago. So that's good, because, a scenario after this is not cheap. Whether it be an apartment that she's in where someone comes by and makes sure she takes her medicine, gets her some food, brings her groceries or whatever, or whether it be a situation where she's in a home, which I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, guys. But it's good to know that she has good insurance also, and that she does have some finances. She has some situations financially that we have to figure out. But the real good news is that she put my wife on her bank account way back 15 years ago. We didn't even know, but my wife thinks she remembers now having her sign something in case something should happen or whatever. But what she had done at that point was give my wife full, co-control of her bank account and her finances as far as that bank account goes, which is great because my wife has been able to set up things online, make sure we're getting all our bills paid, things like that, and ensuring that, should we have a situation where she has to go somewhere that, we can be assured that she'll have the finances to take care of that, and we can help manage that for her, because no matter what happens, this is going to be a rough deal. I mean, if everything goes great, they get this out, and she ends up being cancer-free, then we're looking at a rehab situation for a little bit, as far as skilled nursing type situation goes, and then eventually a long-term care scenario, which is crazy, by the way, guys, if you don't know how much that costs. Let me just give you an idea. In a rest home or something like that, with nurses on staff and everything, it's about $10,000 per month. Pretty crazy. So, I don't know about that scenario, how long that can last if we're going to do this. But, and then if things weren't able to work out, and here's the other thing, I don't even know what's going to happen with this house. I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, the house is in my name. It's left to me in the will and everything, and I have control over that. But that could also mean that I'm stuck paying to help demolish this home, because it's not looking very good right now, man. I'm going to be honest with you. So I'm really, I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know how much of that I would be co-responsible for or what. I really don't know. I'm hoping it's a scenario where we can have one of these places that they buy houses that are in horrible disrepair or whatever, and rebuild them and resell them for good money. I really don't care what they make off of it, to be honest with you. But there's nothing like having to go tell your mom in the hospital when she quite possibly has cancer that could be terminal, that her home is gone forever. But that's what I had to do. So we'll see. I haven't had a lot of sleep for about 4 or 5 days now. Pretty tired. Tomorrow's New Year's Eve, man. We're going to go do something because it's been rough on myself and my wife and my kids, really, too. But, yeah, I guess my message here, guys, check on your parents. Don't take their word for it. We've found out that a lot of things that she had told us and was telling us are not true. And I think most of it is born out of embarrassment for the way things were, or even the embarrassment of admitting that you can't take care of things for yourself anymore. But yeah, you don't want what's going on with me to be something that you have to be responsible for in the future. Thank goodness I have an amazing wife who is all over getting all this stuff taken care of. It does appear as though also that my mom did buy a car less than a year ago, maybe just a few months ago. And from what I can see, they really ripped her off. To me, it looks like the Blue Book value of the car is worth less than half of what the loan is for the car. So I got to figure out what to do about that too. I mean, we're looking at losing like 12 grand for this car if we sell it at a good price to somebody. Needless to say, in that situation, with someone living in that situation, driving that car all the time, car doesn't smell great, man. It's going to be a heavy-duty detailing job I'm going to have to get done on it. And even then, man, I don't know. I don't know. So I know this special report's a bummer, but I just wanted to kind of share it with you guys and let you know what's going on in case I'm absent here and there for a while or different things are going on. But yeah, I know you don't know my mom. I'm not a religious guy, but I'd appreciate you guys thinking about her and hoping everything gets better, because it's really been pretty tough, man. All right, guys. I hope you're having good holidays. I hope you all have a happy new year. Do me a favor. Get off my lawn.